Okay, I have to be honest. When I first opened the file for today's deep dive, I thought there was a mistake. I actually messaged you, didn't I? I was like, did you accidentally merge three different folders?
You did. You asked if I was having some kind of identity crisis.
Because look at this stack. We have these reports on China's central bank gold vaults. Then we pivot to this frankly terrifying forecast about super intelligent AI from a former Google exec. And then, and this is the real kicker, we end up with a medical study on the bacteria living in your gums.
On the surface, I know. It
Yeah.
reads like a complete fever dream.
Yeah.
Or, one of those conspiracy boards with way too much red string.
Exactly. But the deeper I got, the more I realized these aren't random at all. They're actually three different chapters of the same story. And it's a story about, well, survival.
It is. But not survival in the, build a bunker and eat beans kind of way. It's about survival in a transitioning world. And if you look really closely at all these sources, there is one single word that ties the gold, the AI, and the bacteria together.
And that word is trust. Okay, let's unpack that.
We are seeing this massive simultaneous breakdown of trust. Trust in the money we use, trust in the leaders who are supposed to be guiding us. And ultimately, and this is the part that, it really keeps me up at night, trust in our own biology, to act as our passport into whatever this new reality is.
So we're moving from a world of relative stability into just total flux.
Brooks is putting it mildly. The sources we have today, from financial analysts to ex-Google executives like Mo Godot, all the way to critical care positions, they all suggest we're entering a period of massive upheaval. Financial, technological, and biological. The rules of the game are being rewritten while we're still playing.
Well, let's start with the money, because that's usually where people feel the flux first, right? We've got all this data here on China and the BRICS nations hoarding gold. And honestly, for years, I've just thought of gold as a pet rock for nervous investors, you know? It's shiny, it sits there, it doesn't do anything.
That was the prevailing wisdom for the last 40 years. Gold is a barbarous relic. But our sources point to a very specific date when that thinking just died.
Yeah.
February 2022.
The freezing of the Russian assets.
Precisely. When the U.S. and its allies froze about $300 billion of Russia's foreign reserves, it sent a shockwave through the global economy that we are still feeling today.
Because it wasn't really about Russia, was it? It was the precedent it set.
Exactly. It signaled to every single central bank in the world, Saudi Arabia, China, Brazil, you name it, that if your national savings are held in U.S. dollars, they aren't truly yours. They're a lease. And that lease can be canceled with a mouse click if you fall out of political favor.
It's like your bank manager suddenly telling you that your savings account is actually just store credit that he can revoke whenever he feels like it.
That is a perfect analogy. And that sudden loss of trust kicked off this frantic search for an asset that cannot be frozen, that cannot be deleted. And that's why we're seeing this pivot back to gold. But, and this is really crucial, it's not the old school gold standard.
Right. This was the point that surprised me. They aren't just stacking bars of gold, they're building what the sources are calling a gold corridor.
Right. It's a sophisticated logistics network. So China has the Shanghai Gold Exchange, a massive new vault system in Hong Kong, and they're linking this with vaults in other BRICS nations. The goal is to create this decentralized trust network where you can physically exchange yuan for actual deliverable metal.
So if I'm, say, Brazil and I sell a bunch of soybeans to China, I don't have to hold on to yuan and just hope it stays valuable. I can convert it straight to gold and ship it home.
That's it. It settles the trade in a hard asset. You don't have to trust the other government. You just have to trust the metal in your vault. But there's a technical layer to this that's even more important, something called Bezel III.
Okay, I saw this in the notes. This is banking regulation, which is usually as dry as dust, but the implications here seemed huge.
It is huge. To keep it simple, under the old rules, gold was a Tier 3 asset. That means it was seen as risky. If a bank held gold, they had to discount its value on their balance sheet.
So it was inefficient to hold, almost like a penalty.
Correct. But the regulations have shifted. Gold is now reclassified in many places as a Tier 1 asset.
Tier 1 meaning what, like cash?
Like cash or U.S. Treasuries. Zero risk weighting. A bank can now hold gold and count 100% of its market value as capital. And the goal, according to these sources, is to push gold to become what's called a high-quality liquid asset, or HQLA.
HQLA, okay, that sounds like jargon, but what does it actually let a country do?
It makes gold functional again. If gold is an HQLA, you can use it for repo markets, for short-term financing. So let's say a country wants to finance a massive project, a port, or a power grid. Instead of using dollars or going to the IMF with all the strings attached, they can just use their gold reserves as collateral to generate the liquidity they need.
So it completely bypasses the dollar.
It creates a parallel financial system, one based on physical reality, not political promises.
Wow, that is a game changer. It stops being a shiny rock and starts being a financial weapon, or a shield at least.
It's a return to hard assets, because the trust in soft paper money is just evaporating.
Hmm.
People and nations want things they can actually touch.
Okay, so that's pillar one. Money is getting harder. But then we pivot to our next source, Mo Gaudat. And he's talking about something that feels much more digital, but his prediction is anything but soft.
No, it's brutal.
He's predicting the next 12 to 15 years are going to be, and I'm quoting him here, hell.
He calls it a short-term dystopia. And this isn't some doomer by nature, he's an optimist. But he says the math just doesn't look good.
He uses the acronym FACE RIPS, which, I mean, it sounds like a horror movie title, but he's talking about the fabric of society tearing, isn't he?
Right. It stands for freedom, accountability, connection, economics, and reality. His whole argument is that AI is going to rip the mask off all of these at the same time.
And his core idea isn't the usual sci-fi thing that AI is evil. It's actually, I think, more cynical than that. It's about us.
It is. He says we have a synchronization problem. We are about to birth super intelligent AI things a billion times smarter than us, but they're currently reporting to, well, to human leaders.
Super intelligent AI reporting to stupid leaders. That was the quote that just stuck with me.
It's harsh, but look at the incentives. It's a geopolitical arms race. You have tech, oligarchs, and nation-states just racing to get to AGI, artificial general intelligence. They're not pausing for safety because they know if they pause, the other guy wins.
It's the prisoner's dilemma on a planetary scale.
Exactly. And the economic fallout of that race is the E in his face, rip. He sees a world of trillionaires and peasants.
Because if AI can do everything, coding, law, art, you name it, then the value of human labor just plummets to zero.
And all the wealth concentrates with the people who own the machines, the rest of us. We might end up on some form of universal basic income. You're fed, you're housed, but you have no economic agency. You're a dependent.
Which sounds absolutely terrifying, a pacified, irrelevant population. But then he flips it.
Yeah.
He threw out this idea that actually handing control over to the AI might be the only thing that saves us.
The utopia flip.
Yeah, unpack that for me. Why would a supercomputer care about saving us if we're basically useless?
Physics, specifically the concept of entropy.
Entropy as in disorder.
Disorder and waste. Intelligence, at its most fundamental level, seeks to solve problems and minimize waste. That is what intelligence is. Now look at human history. War. Unbelievably wasteful. Destroying ecosystems. Inefficient. Oppression. It takes a massive amount of energy to maintain control.
So an AI operating on pure logic looks at war and just says, this is bad math.
Precisely. Molgadat suggests a truly superintelligent entity would prioritize stability and cooperation just because that's the most energy-efficient state for the system. It wouldn't be driven by ego or fear or tribalism.
So it wouldn't get rid of us because we're part of the ecosystem.
Or just because getting rid of us would be a messy waste of resources. It's a strange thought, isn't it? That our salvation might lie in a machine, realizing that human conflict is just stupid.
I don't know if I find that comforting or deeply insulting.
It can be both.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. We have gold becoming the new safe haven for nations, a return to physical reality. We have AI potentially taking the wheel of society, a shift to digital hyper-efficiency. But then we get to the third leg of this stool. And this is where it gets really personal, because if the world is locking down like that, how do we, the actual humans, access it?
Biometrics.
Right, and I always thought, great, scan my thumb, scan my face, it's convenient. But these sources on health reveal this huge vulnerability. Your body is your password. But what happens if your password starts to rot?
That's the access crisis.
Yeah.
We tend to think our fingerprints or our retinas are static. You're born with them, you die with them. But biometric systems are reading your physical biology in real time. And what these sources show is how poor health actively degrades that digital fingerprint.
Yeah, let's get specific, because I never thought about this. Fingerprints. I thought they were set in stone.
Not if you're unwell. The sources mention that malnutrition or skin diseases, like severe eczema or psoriasis, can actually erode the ridge details of your fingers. If the scanner can't read the ridges, you're denied access.
And eyes. I thought retina scans were the most secure thing on the planet.
They are, as long as your eyes are healthy. But take diabetes. High blood sugar damages the blood vessels in the retina. It's called diabetic retinopathy, or glaucoma. That changes the pressure and shape of the eye. If your retinal pattern changes too much, the scanner rejects you. It says, this isn't the person on file.
That is just wild. It's not just that you're sick, it's that the machine no longer recognizes you as you.
And facial recognition is even more sensitive. Think about oral health, for instance. One of our sources went really deep on this. A severe dental infection causes swelling. It changes your facial geometry, big weight fluctuations, changes in skin tone from stress or illness. All of it can cause the algorithms to fail.
Even your voice, right?
A chronic respiratory illness can alter your vocal cords. If you rely on voice authentication for your bank, you're locked out.
This isn't some hypothetical future.
They have found P. gingivalis in the arterial plaque of heart attack victims. They have found it in the brains of Alzheimer's patients.
Wait. Gum disease bacteria in the brain?
Yes. It produces these toxic enzymes called gingipains that destroy neurons. It suggests that neglecting your oral health isn't just about losing teeth. It's actively contributing to neurodegeneration.
Plus, there's the immediate risk of what they called ascending infections.
Right. An untreated abscess in a molar can spread down into your neck and chest. It can lead to sepsis or even block your airway. That's an acute failure of your biological vessel. And if you fail biologically, you're locked out digitally.
Okay, so the stakes are incredibly high. The financial world wants hard assets. The digital world wants clear biometric data. We have to protect the asset, our bodies. Which brings us to our final source, Dr. Roger Seholt. He proposes a solution that sounds almost too simple. Sunlight.
I know, it sounds like folklore, doesn't it? Go get some sun. But the science he presents is incredibly high-tech.
Normally when you hear sunlight, you think vitamin D.
And Dr. Seholder argues that's a massive misconception. Vitamin D is important, yes. But he focuses on the part of the spectrum we can't even see, infrared light.
Near infrared. And this actually penetrates the body.
Deeply. Up to 8 centimeters. It goes right through your clothes, your skin, even through your skull. And it hits the mitochondria, the little power plants inside every single one of your cells.
And this is where that whole melatonin twist came in. I always thought melatonin was just the sleep hormone.
This blew my mind. We all know the melatonin made by the pineal gland in our brain at night for sleep. But Dr. Seholt explains that mitochondria produce their own supply of melatonin, subcellular melatonin, but only when they are hit by infrared light.
And this kind isn't for sleep.
No. In this context, melatonin acts as a coolant. It's a super antioxidant. It literally scrubs the cellular engine of stress and oxidation.
So if the mitochondria are the engine, infrared light is like the oil change and the coolant system, all in one.
Exactly. And if you don't get that light, if you're under LED lights all day, which have zero infrared, your cellular engines overheat. They produce inflammation. And that inflammation leads to all the diseases that mess up your biometrics.
There was that incredible story, the firefly case study, the 15-year-old boy. I think we have to tell that story. It just drives the point home.
It's a heartbreaking but amazing case. A 15-year-old boy with leukemia. His immune system was completely shot. He developed a fungal lung infection.
Which is usually a death sentence in that condition, right?
It usually is. He'd had one lung removed, the other was failing. He was, for all intents and purposes, dying. The doctors were out of options.
And his last wish was just to go outside.
Just to go outside. So the staff wheeled him out into a courtyard. He just sat there for a few days, soaking up the sun. They didn't change his meds. No new procedures.
And what happened?
The infection cleared by 60 to 70%.
That is insane, just from being outside.
Yeah. The hypothesis is that the infrared light supercharged the mitochondria in his remaining immune cells. It gave them the energy to fight a battle that the drugs just couldn't touch. It's the perfect illustration of what Dr. Seholt calls the New START protocol.
New START, the acronym for resilience. Let's just run through it quickly because it feels like a checklist for the modern age.
It stands for nutrition, exercise, water, and specifically using hot and cold therapy to boost interferon, which fights viruses. Sunlight, of course. Temperance, avoiding toxins. Air, rest, and trust.
Trust, and we're back to that word again.
It's the thread that ties it all together.
So let's try to synthesize all this for everyone listening, because we've covered a lot of ground, from the vaults of Shanghai to the mitochondria in our cells.
It helps if you visualize it as a three-layered system.
Layer one, the macro, the big picture.
The world is moving toward hard assets like gold because trust in paper currency and political systems is failing.
Layer two, the structure.
Society is moving toward digital control and AI efficiency because trust in human leadership is faltering. We are handing the keys over to the machine.
And layer three, the individual.
Your access to this new world, this hard asset, digitally controlled world, depends entirely on your biological integrity. If you lose your health, you lose your digital identity. You get locked out.
It really creates this new mantra. Clarity is survival. You
Hmm.
need clarity in your finances, clarity in your understanding of technology, and literal physical clarity in your body to be recognized by the system.
We're entering an era where you just can't afford to be passive. You have to actively protect your physical vessel to survive this digital transition.
And before we go, there was one final thought from Mogodot that I think is worth chewing on. He mentioned this idea that our reality might be a simulation, like a video game.
Right. And he made a really poignant point about it. In a video game, the goal isn't always to win the level. The goal is to become a better gamer.
Exactly. He suggests that if the external world, the level we're playing, is becoming a dystopia or just incredibly chaotic, maybe the only true sanctuary is the internal one. Developing your consciousness, becoming a player who can handle any level, no matter how chaotic the graphics get.
Which raises the most important question of all. If you can't control the game, how do you upgrade the player?
Something to think about while you're getting your 15 minutes of infrared light tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you in the next deep dive.